Hello, my wonderful people. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, depending on your time zone or anytime you are coming across my platform, Linda's TV show. If it is your first time and you like what you are watching, kindly subscribe, put on your notification bell to all notification. In that way, you'll be able to know when we upload a new video. YouTube, I want to appreciate you for creating this wonderful platform for us to use to disseminate information. I always put a disclaimer that this platform, Linda's TV show, do not and will not promote violence, hate speech, misleading information, or what have you. We are here to educate, inform the members of the public about the happening, and also to remind YouTube that a call for self-determination is not a call for what? War.
They cannot trace that jeep and the occupants and apprehend them. Who are those people? Where did they disappear to? In a place that there was nobody moving around. To trace that jeep will not be a hard problem for any security agent. So why didn't they trace that jeep and the occupants and leave the people of Abia alone? No, answer me. Is that not what they're supposed to do?
All right.
Are overdoing it. Seriously, they are. In the first place, I've said it here that the military have no business in internal security anywhere in the world. It is this interaction with the civilian that is causing unwholesome problem. The military are taking laws into their hand. This other civilian that they have killed unjustly all over, did anybody prosecute the military? Did anybody invade the barracks to kill the military? Why is it that whenever something happens, instead of you to follow due process, you take laws into your hand? And the president is not even helping matters. He will make a very sweeping statement telling security agents to go and fish out the killer. Is that how things are done? You made this statement at Okuoma and Okuloba, and you saw the result. You are making the same statement in Abia. For God's sake, when are we going to learn? It's very wrong, serious, very, very wrong. The military think that they have power, they can do whatever, but this thing is diminishing them. It is reducing their respect before the public. I'm telling you, go and check. It is this unwholesome involvement of the military in minor issues that is causing this problem. The military of you, nobody dare look at them in the face, not to talk of even shooting them. By the way, Precious, sir, have we interrogated this thing that happened in Abia? Okay. How do people were moving, hold on. People were moving in a jeep and they accosted the military and there was a shootout. Please, with the environment within that period, do you need anybody to tell you to trace the people that did this and apprehend them instead of running down an entire city? Eh? Are you telling me that they cannot trace that jeep and the occupants and apprehend them? Who are those people? Where did they disappear to? In a place that there was nobody moving around. To trace that jeep will not be a hard problem for any security agent. So why didn't they trace that jeep and the occupants and leave the people of Abia alone? No, answer me. Is that not what they're supposed to do?
All right, so President Darlington, I think if you can give me a moment, let's quickly take a listen to the young lady's complaint. Take a listen.
My siblings were taken from our home. It's been over 24 hours since my siblings were taken from our home. We stay around Abia Junction, Abia State, where the shooting happened 2 days ago. Yesterday by 5 a.m., some soldiers broke into our house. They broke our gates, they broke our doors, and they went in and took my siblings. They made my sick dad, my dad is in his 70s, and that's the only reason they didn't take him. They made my sick dad sit in a very unhealthy position, that even after they left, when he called me, he was telling me that he feels really sick, that they're taking everybody and his body is hurting. I'm a doctor working in Luke, so I'm not in Abia State right now. I'm in Lagos. I work at Luke. My siblings, I've not heard from them. We've been trying our best to try and reach them. Nobody's giving us any tangible information. My mom doesn't work in Abia, so she had to go all the way from Umuahia to Abia yesterday. But they didn't even let her see them. She didn't get to see them. We don't know if they're even alive. We don't know how they are coping. We don't know the kind of inhuman treatment they are going through. My brother is a child. He's just tall. He's a child. He's 15. Please, children are not supposed to be subjected to this kind of inhuman treatment. How is my brother expected to view the Nigerian army, Nigeria as a whole, after this kind of experience? He's just a child. He has never slept outside my house, and having to sleep in this kind of inhuman condition, having to be in this kind of situation is just heartbreaking. My family is heartbroken. My siblings, everybody has been crying since yesterday. Please, I'm calling on all human rights activists in Nigeria, in the world, outside Nigeria, in Africa, all child rights activists. I'm calling on all well-meaning Nigerians to please speak up about this. Please speak up about this, throw more light on this, so that they can bring back my brother in my siblings without hurting them, so they can bring them back, please. Because if we don't talk about this, I don't know how it will go. I don't know if it can take any route. It can go any way. Please, you can't be detaining innocent civilians without proper investigation to know where to go to. You can't just pick random people from the road. You can't just pick random people from their houses. Please, I beg you, I beg everyone in Nigeria to please help. It's been over.
All right, so Barrister Darlington, you heard that. I thought to quickly play that for you. But this is just one of many other, one out of many. Other people have also come out to share their experiences. Did you read the account of Abaribe?
Do you know that Abaribe was subjected to the same inhuman treatment? He was stopped and was asked to step down out of his car. Even he oddly told them that this is a honorable member. They didn't bother. He passed the first checkpoints after the humiliations. The second one, they treated him the same way. It was at that point that he turned around and went back to Umuahia, and from there he came back to Abuja. He couldn't go back to his home in Abia. I'm telling you, that is a honorable member of the National Assembly. You can imagine what ordinary people are going through in Abia now. All because of what? Precious. Are you aware that something worse than this has happened somewhere in this country? And we didn't see the military subjecting the people of that area to this inhuman treatment. We didn't. I didn't see or hear where the military went to that place to go and subject everybody to this embarrassment. Or am I lying? Have people not killed the military elsewhere in this country? What happened at the end of the day? Please. The statement of the president is even what is not. In fact, at a point, he concluded that it is IPOB, telling us that the federal government have the capacity to do what? If you have the capacity, please neutralize these bandits in the north who have caused more havoc than any other person in this country. If you have the capacity, don't flex your muscle with IPOB. We are a peaceful people. Abia people, Imo people are peaceful people. We don't kill. We have been saying it. This unknown government in the southeast, let the federal government probe it. Let us know who is causing this problem for Igbos in the southeast. Yet nobody want to hear. Nobody want to listen. Ohaneze have told the federal government, bring back, repatriate Simon Egba from Finland. They made it clear. They made a statement. They made the representation to the federal government. Yet nobody listened to them. IPOB have said, look, give us the security of the southeast, and if one person die, hold all responsible. The federal government did not listen to them. Rather, they prefer this thing that's going on there. What does that tell you? Please, Nigeria, what does that tell you? You are looking for somebody to make peace, and somebody has offered to bring it. You said no, but you can go to the north in Zamfara to go and turban Bello Tojo because you want peace in that state. Meanwhile, the man have converted part of that state as his own. He's collecting tax and ransom money. The day he was turbaned, all the state officials went there. Have such a thing happened in the southeast? Please, somebody should answer me. Is there any time you see any governor or any Igbo elder discussing with IPOB members and other where they gather to celebrate IPOB? But these things have been happening routinely in the north and nobody is talking. Precious, some people have taken over part of Benue and the Plateau. They are even occupying their homes. Yet the federal government has no capacity to deal with them. But you have capacity to deal with innocent people in Abia. Innocent people.
So, Barrister Darlington, who were those who committed
that
this?
Is what we are asking the federal government. Yes, let them fish them out. It's not enough for you to conclude is IPOB. When IPOB have told you they don't have a hand in that, they have told you everything IPOB. Meanwhile, we have never heard or seen where IPOB have taken over a part of Southeast where they are collecting ransom, kidnapping people, telling farmers not to go to farm. We have never seen it. Everything IPOB. This is this unknown government that they brought into the Southeast. Who did it? Precious, have we not discussed it here where they brought 2 lorry load of people from nowhere who said they came to hunt in Imo State? What does that tell you? Please, what does that tell you? Why is it that nobody talking about these things? Trailer load of human beings, dump them somewhere in Imo State. What did they come to do in Imo State? To hunt? Hunt where? Where is the forest? These are the things we are talking about. Nobody will talk about it.
So, Barrister Darlington, you were mentioning the president's statement on this issue as reflected. Are you saying that, after the Okoma killing, the Okoma incident or killing of military personnel, there was also a killing in, I think, Zamfara State and Borno State?
Yes.
And are you saying that the president did not also share equal reaction?
I was expecting. Did you hear any statement from him? Please, somebody tell me, when this thing happened in Niger where they killed the military men, did the President Tinubu make any statement?
The one that the naval jets were shot down in Shiroro,
Niger State. Did he make any statement? Somebody contradict me now. Contradict me.
And the one in the one just after the Okomas incident in Borno State. And
what kind of thing is this now?
Okay.
These are the things that is even handling the position of the Igbo. They now see themselves as an endangered species. Everything you don't take a sweeping statement to sweeping action against the Igbo. We are not talking of the humiliation that they go through when they are traveling between Benin Onitsha. That one is there. The federal government just kept quiet. They pretend as if they didn't hear. The military hierarchy didn't see what their boys are doing along that route. They pretend as if they didn't hear. Is that part of the duty of the military? Collecting bribe from motorists. Is that part of their duty? Somebody should answer me. All right. This is what we are talking about. Remember that at Okoma, it was after the devastation, after the destruction, they now declared 8 people wanted. What does that tell you? Are they not supposed to have done this and leave the innocent villagers alone? The same thing is going on in Abia. Nobody learned any lesson. After all this thing they are doing now, at the end of the day, they will declare some people wanted. I am asking you, that jeep that where those, but where did that jeep end up with? Where did he end up? Because that day there was lockdown, everywhere was free. If any jeep pass anywhere, people can trace that jeep to where it entered. Why is it that the military did not follow it up? Answer me. And this is bringing suspicion. But I don't want to say what is on my mind here. Everybody, I leave this to the public to think. Why is it that every time somebody will do something, you don't know where they enter, you don't know where they disappear to? All of a sudden, you won't hear, then they will now descend on innocent people. What does that tell you? You see this Abana that has become the bride of Africa. You see they want to destroy it. You see that gradually now they want to...
Drawing attention to, though, in the clip that we were hoping to have seen, which is about the Land Use Act and how it relates to the issue of ranching. Do you mind explaining to us what the issue is with that?
Well, let me just say that anytime that this matter comes up, and by virtue of hindsight, having been in the Senate for a very long time, there has always been an effort made by different senators to deal with this issue. And anytime the issue comes up, there will always be this set of arguments that are made. And once those who make those arguments start with it. What will now happen is that we end up always quarreling among ourselves, and then that bill never gets, done. And what I was trying to point out in that at that time is, look at this set of arguments. By virtue of the fact that I have always been in this Senate, this matter will always come up. And I was trying to tell all my colleagues, those who are about 70% of the senators there today just came into the Senate. So they have to have a virtue of having those of us who have been there before to say, these things have come before.
Right, to give them the background.
And this is the background.
Right.
And I started by saying, well, Senator Kwankwaso, at the time he was a senator, brought this same bill. But this is what always happens. First, there will be the argument about our rights as Nigerians. And of course, one of our rights is that you have the right for free movement within Nigeria. But whenever they bring that argument of free movement, they never bring the other argument of a right to life, which is a constitutional right and security. And so, nobody has a right to take your life because it's a header. They never bring up that one. Then the second one will be, oh, there's a right, there's an ECOWAS protocol, there's this and that. And of course, when that doesn't go on, the next one they will now say is, okay, there is a Land Use Act. And this act vests all powers of the right to land in the governors. And so I was simply trying to tell everybody, these are the issues that we must have to deal with. How do we get the governors to buy to this so that if somebody needs land, the governor will give him once it's for ranching?
Right.
Precisely. And we can't run away from this. But then, if we go back in time, this is a matter that we raised long time once the Buhari regime started. Don't forget, what has happened in Nigeria is that most of the time when something comes up today, we never sit back and say, how did we get to this point? We got to this point by virtue of the fact of the effort to remove President Jonathan. There had always been this header-farmer clash, but it never got to this point where whole communities were exterminated so that some people will be roaming freely within their land, which is what happens in Plateau and in Benue State.
I think Benue is the worst hit.
Precisely. Yeah. And you know why? Because most of the banks of the Benue is lush because it's watered by the Benue River. And so they want, these people came and they want. And who are these people? And that's a question that we have not dealt with. The bill first said that we have to confine these people to the ranches within their states of origin. And somebody woke up and said, no, every Nigerian has a right to go around. There's no such thing like a state of origin. Why will anybody make that statement? Reason is that in trying to remove Jonathan, there were stateless persons that were from the Sahel region that were imported into Nigeria. And a former chairman of PDP made that statement. I'm not the person that made it.
But that importation is a fact, is it?
That importation is a fact. If you ask any Nigerian Fulani, he will tell you that there's something called the Bororo Fulani. And that Bororo Fulani are these imported ones. They don't own land. Therefore, what they want to do is to settle in Nigeria. they were given free passage, let me just say it, by the Buhari regime. And we were shouting at that time, don't bring people into Nigeria who are not Nigerians. They won't have sympathy. They won't know what has happened. All they want to do is displace you, take over your place, and roam freely within that place.
But there were cattle herders as well.
They were, but the Nigerian cattle herders were not carrying AK-47 rifles and other.
So these guys brought their guns.
So these guys brought their guns with them. First thing they did was to start to rustle the cattle belonging to Nigerians. And so a Nigerian herder who loses his cattle, has nowhere else to go, he becomes part of them. Because he is given, okay, you either join us or you got nothing. And some of them, of course, joined. And so we have this complicated problem. And this complicated problem is what we want to solve by saying, can we confine you to a particular place? If you have, okay, what you want to do is to move your cattle from where there is grass to another place where there is grass, and you can roam around with them. And I also pointed out on the floor of the Senate that Governor Ganduje at a particular time said, my state, Kano, has more than enough land for all the herders in Nigeria to go around with it. We must make mention that this is not just didn't start now. It's a way, and some people in the Senate will get up and tell you, but it's a way of life. How do you change? No. It was a way of life for us to kill twins. It was also a way of life for us to bury
so there's got to be some
people.
kind of change.
So there must have to be
evolutionary change.
It's an evolutionary change, and that comes with education.
Right.
So where the real problem is rather than us struggling to make sure that everybody has education, everybody has a change, everybody moves with the new things today. Some people want to leave some citizens to stay, let them just stay where they are as illiterate, uneducated, herders roaming around and killing people.
Yeah, but the point is that there are different types of education. There's obviously the education where you go to school and start learning your ABCs from the very start up to the end. There's the other form of education, which is educating people about this new ranching proposal. Is there going to be a period of consultation? Because you're not going to educate those people. You're not going to put them through school, but you can educate them, those people who are most likely to be affected by this new ranching proposal. Because the herders, for instance, who, as you've said, are uneducated, they're suspicious of authority, they need to be convinced, as do the farmers who are worried about their land and farms.
Why would they not be? If we, and we suppose, all the people who say we are elite, we tell people what to do. If you can tell somebody what to do in elections and say, vote for A or B or C, why will you not be able to tell them how to improve their lives? In fact, it's very funny that they themselves, some of my colleagues will tell you that, that the Nigerian cow, that the yield from milk is so low and all that, but that the yield from the one that is in an environment that is and that the meat is more tender, is bigger and all that. They will tell you all this, but the point is, why don't you want to do it? Why do you want another citizen to be a second-class citizen?
Well, the point here really, Senator, is that if there, I'm wondering whether, along with this proposed ranching bill, there is an education component.
Obviously.
Right.
The point really is that everything is encompassed within it. All it takes is the willingness to do it.
Right.
And of course, we have said that since the bill has passed the second reading, so it's going to go to the point where everybody will be invited. So we invite Mieti Allah. We invite the Nigerian Farmers Association from each state and all that. We invite each governor because they also have a role to play. Then, when everyone is there, what are the issues that we will now have to deal with? It's just for us to be able to talk to each other with an open mind.
So there's still a long process.
Of course, there's a process that we must have to pass through. But what we don't want is a situation where whenever the matter comes up, all manners of obstacles are put on the way to make sure that Nigerians will continue to be at each other's throat, and non-Nigerians are coming in and killing Nigerians and taking over their land, because that is another subset of the problem. Of course, it's a problem that everybody is looking at and people are avoiding to talk about it. We cannot avoid to talk about it. Whole villages, areas of the plateau, of the Benue, and even stretching all the way now to Enugu State, down to my own state in Abia. Why? Would somebody come and say, we're just going to let our cows to graze, and if you complain, they kill you because they have the high-powered rifles which the farmer does not have.
But let me ask you this. I mean, what is your sense of how this is moving through the National Assembly?
It's going well.
Right.
Because when we came to do the voting for the second reading of the bill, we could see an overwhelming support for it. Every Nigerian tired of this. We were never like this. In the 60s and all that, there may be a few clashes, but it was always resolved by the Sariki of the whoever is the harder Sariki then, and they will pay compensation and people will go. Not today. Today people are killed and removed from their land, and you now find this anomaly, and all of us should be ashamed of ourselves that within Nigeria in 2024, in several states, we have what we call IDPs. It was never like that before. And so, you are in Benue. Senator Titus Zam, who proposed the bill, told us on the floor of the Senate that part of his senatorial zone in Benue State, they are in IDP camps. Who sent you to an IDP camp in Benue State? There's no Boko Haram there. There's nothing. It's a harder. So you ask yourself, where would the harder come from to come to Benue and kill people and send orders to an IDP camp?
I think you use the word an anomaly, and it's
an anomaly.
Very anomalous.
It's an anomaly, and we need to always deal with this. And you know, because now there's a mixture of all manners of things. There are banditry, there's this, there's that, and so when you're talking about it, then there's a whole lot of things that are involved in it.
So people try to separate the different
precisely,
bits and
I know that a lot of my colleagues are worried. We had a discussion with the former governor of Niger State, and he said, listen, as governor, I looked at this matter. I looked for the old grazing routes. There's an explosion in people now living, so they have closed that. But I found out that there were in old ranching sites, which he said he went to the Kaduna registry to find. And so that what he now did was to recover those ranching sites and say, okay, if you come as a header, you go to this ranching site. But you know what? Some refused. Why? Because there's another agenda. It is not ranching that is
right. But who's behind that agenda?
That is where we need to, as Nigerians, sit together, talk together, and find out who is destabilizing Nigeria.
Yeah, but you guys are in the Senate talking together. I mean, that's why you're elected to go to the Senate.
Precisely.
So there are people, representatives from different parts of Nigeria.
Yes.
What are the people from that part of the country saying? What is their justification for opposing this grazing, this ranching bill?
You know, the point really is that when you're engaging with your colleagues, you want to find out what is really the problem. Of course, you find what they feel, or some of them feel, that maybe they have to be able to pander to the wishes of those
of their constituents.
Right. And then, of course,
but there must be marshalling arguments. What is the argument that they're marshalling?
And that's why I said that there's a mix of all manners of things coming in. But I tell you, the preponderance of our colleagues all agree that this cannot continue.
So is this bill likely to alleviate or deepen those grievances that you're talking about?
No, we think that the bill is meant to alleviate, not to deepen. Because a bill that deepens means that you're now going to say, let it continue the way it is.
Well, the reason I say that is that if there is so much opposition to it, if the senators who represent constituents are so hugely opposed to it,
no,
that is bound to...
I don't think so. I think that those who are opposed to it are in the minority, not in the majority. And I think that with a lot more openness among us.
So is that the key?
More, and we need to be open. We need to understand the other person's point of view. We need to be able to alleviate some people's fears,
anxieties.
Right.
The reason I ask that is that this is not the first time that there's been an attempt to ban open grazing. I mean, but any attempt has often been followed by a new wave of violence. And I'm trying to understand what's likely to be different this time.
Well, what's likely to be different this time is that it's been too long and everybody's tired of it. People now know that we cannot continue like this. There will be no country left. If everyone now says, okay, let us take the laws into our hands.
Let me just ask you to hold on for a minute. Let's watch a clip of senators, including yourself, having a discussion about this in the Senate. Let's take a listen.
I'm against the idea of restricting movement of Nigerians from one state to another.
No, that would not happen.
Right now, citizens of Nigeria are allowed to move from one state to another to establish business without any hindrance whatsoever.
It affects everywhere in Nigeria.
Yes.
Nobody can restrict
pastoralists
movement.
and citizens of Nigeria, they can move to north central, northwest, northeast, south, and establish their business without
they can do so, but not with AK-47.
As we consider this, I also want us to look at the Land Use Act as an impediment to this particular very wonderful bill, to ensure that we can get and put to rest this matter of header farmer class.
And of course, that's Senator Abaribe there. And before him, we heard from Senator Adamu Aliera. And let me just point out that Senator Aliera is expected in our studio here tomorrow to put his own side of the case to the Nigerian public so that we balance, as we always do on Arise, the discussion and try and get as many people involved as possible. But of course, Senator Abaribe is still here with me in the studio. Thank you very much indeed for staying with us. Some have suggested that there is a religious element to this conflict, one that is punctuated by ethnicity and regional polarization, which we know exists in this country. Is this attempt this time to put forward a ranching bill, is it more nuanced than that?
Well, let me also make a clarification here. Anytime that people say, oh, there's a religious element, you ask yourself the question, the farmers and the herders clash. They clash in Zamfara, they clash in Kebbi, they clash in Niger. They are all the same Muslims. The farmers are Muslims, the herders are Muslims. So those who come and say, oh, it's between maybe Muslims and Christians, they are just being mischievous. It's not true. This is purely a ploy by some people to take land that doesn't belong to them. And the point is, where did they come from? This never used to happen before. That's my question.
So how are you going to get rid of those people who you say have been brought into the country?
It is now a security issue.
Right.
We need to know who.
Is that incorporated into the bill?
I don't know whether we can differentiate who is a non-Nigerian and who is a Nigerian. But
so the
point is that if you now have a bill and say that people are restricted to ranches in this area, then they are in that area.
Yes.
If they go beyond that area, then you know that it is not ranching.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And I need to tell you one other thing.
Yeah.
You notice from what we have seen that, for example, in the Southeast, sometimes people go into bushes and they see some people living there. Where are you from? Oh, that they are here. They are. Where is your cow? No cow with them. They're just living there. Then you're seeing kidnappings, you're seeing every other thing. So this is part of the instability that is going on all over the country.
So ultimately, the aim of that ranching bill is to create ranches and restrict the movement of these
so
people.
That if there's no movement,
and in fact that's an important security
precisely
issue.
It's a big security issue.
If
there's no movement, then you cannot tell me, oh, it is because I'm taking your my cows from one point to the other, because a whole lot of the people that they see don't have any cows with them. And of course, so much rustling is also going on. So it also needs for you to check that rustling so that a herder with his cows is not subject to attacks by people who just come up and
I think I understand the point much better, and I hope that Nigerians understand that point much better. And I'm really glad that you took the time to come and chat with us about this and explain this further. As I said, tomorrow we're going to have Senate.
My wonderful viewers for watching this video together with me from the beginning to the end. Like I said before, if you like what you see here, if you like what I do in this platform, as you have finished watching this video, please hit that red button that says subscribe and put on your notification bell to all notification. In that way, you'll be able to know when I upload a new video. Share my videos, leave your comments in the comment section constructively. Until I meet your way again in my next video, I still remain your Linda's TV show. Bye-bye.